7:43. We'd like to welcome to the program now Peter Coyote. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Hi, Rollin. How's everything up in Eureka?
Going wonderful. Whereabouts in the world are you?
Well, I'm in Sebastopol, Northern California, but I spent a lot of time on the Hooper Reservation, east of Eureka and Arcata, and up at Black Bear Ranch, which is up in the Trinity-Siskiyou Wilderness. We had a commune up there, and I lived there for a long time. That's my country up there.
Well, that's awesome. That has brought me back to really where I wanted to start things off. First off, Peter, people would recognize your face from so many works that you have done. ERIN Brockovich, one of the big ones. ET, another one. We've got a movie to talk about today, but I really wanted to go back to this period of your life, early in your life, when you dropped out, living on a commune and stuff. So you know the ranch areas of Hoopaw and so forth.
Oh, I know very well, yeah. And I have a lot of friends that kind of worked with the Karuk Indians. I used to gamble with them and run around with them. They're all dead now, but I was deep into that country. And I wrote a book called Sleeping Where I Fall, which has been in print since 1999. They're using it at a lot of universities to kind of study the 60s. We're the World War II of our time. When I was in high school, we studied World War II, and now the kids are studying the 60s, and I'm going to a university on Thursday to talk about it. So I'm one of the last that can still make a coherent sentence, I guess, so they dragged me out.
From that era, are there any particular standout things that you recall, whether it be, I'm sure people, but any particular parts of your life that you look back and go, wow, I lived through that. I actually am alive to be able to tell about that, Thursday when you go make the presentation?
Well, I'll tell you the truth is, if I could have gotten free education for my children and medical insurance, I'd still be living on communes because it was a great life. You always had brothers and sisters to work with and to help you with your kids and make music at night and play board games and card games. It was pretty splendid. Unfortunately, we brought some bad habits with us, or at least I did, and you have to grow up, and kids have a way of growing you up. I had some adventures with the Hells Angels that were scary, and too many adventures with hard drugs. But when I look back at it and I look at today, I have to say that we won all the cultural battles. There's no place in America you can't go today where there's not a women's movement and an environmental movement and alternative medical practices like acupuncture and homeopathy and naturopathy and slow food, and when people are paying attention to food, they're paying attention to the water and the air and the soil. So that's just happening all over the United States, and that stuff is a lot deeper than politics, and I'm really proud of that stuff.
Well, let me ask you now, when you were in the commune life and leading all that we just talked about, what changed and when was that brought you back to, I would call it, I guess, mainstream, and you eventually became a teacher and then an actor?
Well, the biggest change was, first of all, we didn't own land bases. So we kept getting evicted or losing the land. But the biggest change was children, because children exerted an order on a commune. If the mothers are getting up at 5 in the morning to nurse, you can't have Wino Eddie playing the tom-tom at 4 in the morning. And we had completely lawless, do-your-thing communities until children came. And then, when people were responsible for their children, they didn't like people hanging around smoking dope all day while they were trying to make a living, or, just clogging up the toilet or the sink with auto parts. So, although the communal aspect broke up, I'm still in touch with 108 people, and we chip in to support about 10 or 12 of our people who are indigent in their older age. And it's not like people sold out. It's just like the times changed, and you had to change with it. I had to make a living. I didn't have an inheritance or anything like that, and I had this skill in acting, and I got lucky. What can I say?
Well, awesome. We don't have a lot of time, so we should really talk about this new movie that's coming out. It's Americana.
Yeah, let me tell you about this movie.
All right.
It's a young kid from San Francisco who's a schoolmate of my son, jazz pianist I heard in 9th grade and kept an eye on. He made this film about a film editor who's quitting alcoholism and depression, and he comes back to edit a film his sister has made, and she's murdered. And she's murdered because of something that he did a long time ago. And this kid, Zach Shedd, got together David Call from Tiny Furniture and Jack Davenport from Pirates of the Caribbean and Kelly Garner from Lars and the Real World, and he got his film made. And I just, when he sent me the script, I said, well, I just have to step up and help him, because I stopped writing screenplays because it was quicker to write books.
Interesting. Well, listen, that comes out on the 28th. It's on DVD and digital HD, courtesy of the Candy Factory Films. It's Americana. Peter, I would love to sit down some point and just hear more stories and talk a little bit about life. If you ever make it from Sebastopol up here to Humboldt County again, look me up on Facebook, and I'll treat you out for some lunch, and we can talk a little bit more. But everybody should be checking out this movie, Americana. It'll be coming up. And Peter?
Well, thank you so much. You can always reach me through petercoyote.com. If you send a letter, it'll come right to me.
All right. Well, maybe we can make a connection and converse some more. It's a pleasure talking to you, and thank you very much for the talent that you've given us on the screen.